Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here on self-discoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful repeat guest is Laura Templeton. We're going to be talking about AI and your brand today. She says, harness the power of AI for brand success, efficiency, and client attraction. I know a lot of people are kind of still on the fence about AI, but as with any other tool in the world, it all depends on how you use it. And if you use it wisely, it can be an excellent brand in your business and even in other parts of your life. So today we're going to be talking about delving into the groundbreaking insights of Laura's latest book, Stand in Your Brand, Harnessing the Power of AI for Brand Success, Efficiency, and Client Attraction. Perfect for entrepreneurs, marketers, and anyone eager to leverage the latest AI for their brand's growth. Laura's expertise offers a transformative approach to branding in a digital age. Discover how to use AI, not just for efficiency, but how to create deeper, more meaningful connections with your audience, whether you're looking to redefine your professional identity or elevate your business. Laura's insights will inspire you to harness the power of AI and stand out in the crowd marketplace. Don't miss this opportunity, folks, to learn everything you need to learn today. I also invite you to go back and listen to her other show that we did a little while ago, and that is Time for Networking Pivot and all about pivoting and the 30-second success. Ditch the pitch and start connecting. A really great show on connections, which is something we all need to do. And AI is another form of helping you connect. It's not in place of, it's there to enhance, isn't it? Welcome back, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me back, Sarah. It's wonderful to be here with your audience with Self-Discovery Media. I appreciate you having me on.
We were now Wisdom. We changed our name to Wisdom because we were talking about wisdom
Ah,
all the time. And I thought, why am I calling media when we're talking about wisdom? Because AI itself is an accumulation of knowledge, right? But how we use it is where we bring the wisdom in.
absolutely. I love how you just segued into that.
So I do use AI. I
Beautiful.
really have found it really beneficial. I've also found that if you know how to use it, that what it does is articulate sometimes what I'm trying to say. So it's my voice, it's my content, it just tidies it up. It's like an editor, right?
Yes.
And it can reduce things down if you kind of get too wordy and all of that type of thing. So it's a great tool. And for marketing, most certainly the advances that you can use AI with your branding and your marketing. My logo was designed by AI. So it's I think it's something that's a great deal of fun if we don't get so terrified of it.
Well, and I think that's the biggest challenge. A lot of people there's still a lot of the ethical questions around
Mm.
AI and is it safe to use? And, am I going to get sued by somebody because my, whatever I generated from AI is too close to what they're putting out in the world? And I think you have to do your homework, right? So you
Yes.
really need to understand the model that you're using. You need to understand where it's accessing the information that it's sharing with you, the content that it's grabbing, where is it coming from? I love the fact that most of the people that I know are using ChatGPT,
Yes.
and the original source is just information that's been fed into the computer.
Hmm.
And a lot of people are like, well, doesn't it get the information from the internet? Technically, no. It's information that's been vetted from, people that put it into the computer. So it's historical accurate,
Yes.
and they do a lot of accuracy checking. That doesn't mean that you are not going to get some information that may be questionable, that it's a little too close to what somebody else may have written and is already copyrighted. So just be careful what you're putting out there. And that's where I think a lot of people don't understand how important it is to literally kind of use the 80-20 rule. 80% of whatever content that AI is giving you, and then the other 20% has to be you. Right? So you have
Yeah,
to
I
integrate
mean,
what you're putting in there.
I give it the content to rewrite
Yes.
and to organize. So it is my words. And what I have found is that I don't know whether it's just picked up my algorithm, but I will say right in my voice. And what I am getting is it's totally my words and my content. It's just being harnessed and tidied up. But interestingly, the other day, I suffer sometimes a little bit from depression, so I asked the AI about it, and they came up with a whole load of solutions of things that I could do to help with it. And I think we forget that actually because it has this wonderful database, it's got some practical applications, right? That it's
Mhm.
accumulated that it can give you. So I decided to put it out as a blog for people to see for themselves other sides of AI. But if you are going to just say, I write this, then yes, you don't know what you're getting. But it's got to be your input and use AI as a tool, as an assistant.
Well, that's one of the reasons why a lot of my clients that I work with, I teach them how to use the custom instructions feature in ChatGPT and some of the other AI, where you can actually customize the instructions so that once you
Yes.
put all of your information in, all of your personalized information, who are you, how do you write, what are you an authority on? Do you like to write long posts? Do you like short posts? Are you fun and engaging? Are you more serious? Putting all of that in there, your brand voice, really telling it who you are and training it and saying, this is who I am. Every time you write about me, take this into consideration
Yeah.
so that you can just literally go to there and say, write a bio for me for this upcoming event.
Hmm.
And it'll do it. And it's very, very accurate and it's in your voice. And then sometimes I have to remind myself that I have to say, I want this written in the first person or the third person.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing you have to kind of think about. But there really is value in the you grabbing the content that that really speaks to who you are, speaks from your soul. You still need to edit it. I don't
Yes.
care how accurate you think it is. You need to read it, at least read it
Yes.
and edit it. Sometimes it's missing a call to action, right?
Hmm.
You forget to tell it, oh, I need, at the end of this, make sure you include the call to action for people to do this,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm a big proponent. When you're writing content, every piece of content needs to have a call to action. What do you want them to do? Where do you want them to go
Yeah.
next?
Yeah.
And AI doesn't know to write that, right?
Unless you
So
instruct it like an assistant,
unless you
instructions. Yeah.
exactly. Got it like a personal assistant.
Mm,
I had that conversation with somebody recently, and I said, it really has become more of a personal assistant
hmm.
or a virtual assistant when you think about it, because if you're asking your virtual assistant to constantly create social media posts and things like that, the only thing it doesn't do, and actually there are some programs out there right now that you can actually ask it to create software or the posts and post them and schedule the post for you.
Hmm.
So there's some pretty creative people out there teaching, using AI to create really great apps that are way ahead of what we're even thinking about that we can automate. Automation, automation, automation is the biggest use of AI these days.
Yes. And I know I did a show this last week on AI and the efficacy of it replacing. And of course, I had a producer on this week, and the whole strike about how far to use AI, and it isn't in replace of people's jobs. We have to put a border somewhere where it cannot do that, can't do the voiceovers or the people that the writers and things like this. Again, it is an assistant. It's not in place of. And I think that comes down to our own ethicacy of how we're going to do this. And, people are going to lose their jobs. Maybe it allows people to expand out in different ways, right? So we can't stop evolution. We can't stop, like when the industrial age came, right? Everything is all about moving forward, but we've got to go by our own compass of the moral compass. And if we know that it's going to obviously cause harm, like we had a court case here in BC of a lawyer that used it. She obviously didn't check it because there were a few clauses in there that actually aren't in the law. And so she's
Wow.
actually been sued. She might be disbarred for it. And she should have known better. right? She should
Mm,
know when she read it through, no, this isn't fact, this isn't fact. She just probably gave it and then sent it out without that due diligence. So fact check, obviously reread it. Is it accurate? Um, and don't kind of mindlessly use it, still mindfully
yeah.
use it.
Well, and that's one of the things that I cover in my book, Stand in Your Brand, is that you really want to make sure that you are fact checking. As a matter of fact, there's a QR code in there to download a document that I created for how to check, how to fact check, right?
Hmm.
And where to go. What are the resources? Because resources are out there for us to be able
Yes,
to check some of these things. And I think it really does, the ethics behind it is it's that conversation we could have continuously. But as far as replacing people's jobs, I think one of the things a lot of people don't understand is when we embrace it and figure out how that we can use it in our jobs to become more efficient,
yes,
right? Create more accuracy in our jobs, and we become more important, more valuable to our employers,
yes,
right? So somebody who's in a professional role and is concerned about losing their job, I would say embrace it, figure out how to use it in your role. Really become like very proficient at it and show that you are a valuable person because you know how to utilize AI and for the betterment of the company.
exactly. Exactly. Again, that, that ethical use that, as with any tool, you've got to get to know how to use it. If you use it unwisely, it may hurt you. And so that's the thing, get to know it. It's not just the mechanics of it. It's obviously the due diligence and the ethics of it as well. And if you incorporate it in, just like when the typewriter came out, and then the computer, we went to it hungrily because of it, it allowed advancement. So this is the next tool in that advancement, but it still is, you know, maybe the buyer beware, but more about, be conscious of what you're putting out. Make sure it is your content that it is rewriting and tidying up, and it's not just, blind stuff.
And that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of people forget that, there is the human element that is required in AI. We have to be involved in what we're asking it to put out, how we're going to share that content, how, even just the creation of the different resources that are out there that are using AI, like all the different chatbots and things like
Mm.
that. It still requires the human element.
Yes,
And that's one of the biggest conversations that I have with people is like, it can't give you the information that you want if you don't know how to ask it for
right. Exactly. It needs instruction, just like any
it.
machine, right? Or anything.
Yes.
It just needs instruction. But what it can give you is it can be so much fun. My son-in-law and I talk about this. My daughter's not into this at all, so he and I get into this conversation. And he did a great 3.5 minute little skit on me interviewing Colonel Mustard on condiments. And so he took
Yeah.
my voice and he kind of mimicked the voice of a professor. And there's 3.5 minutes of this great conversation on condiments. And it was so much fun and so hilarious. So it can, yes, again, like we saw the other day, we saw pictures of Trump and Biden, shirtless around a fire, having picnic together, which we know would never be a reality. So it is still fact check, fact check. Don't just take things at face value, right? That's just, we've got plenty of fake news out there even before AI came along. So it is
Absolutely.
discernment, obviously, trust your gut. Don't just go with
Yeah.
always what you see. But you can, especially when it comes to branding and things like this, you can have fun with it. You can really get very
Yes.
creative with it, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. There's so much you can do with it. And think about it, we've been actually using AI for a lot longer than people realize. We've only really been talking about it for the last year and a half because
Hmm.
of ChatGPT, the open AI
Yeah.
becoming available to everyone. So think about it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been using otter.ai for years, and that's the voice to text transcription. Amazon's been using AI for years for a lot of its automation that it does.
Hmm.
A lot of, I mean, Google and Microsoft,
Hmm.
they've been using AI automation in a lot of the work that they do, right? Even for the algorithms, right? There's
Yes.
there's AI built into all these algorithms. Everybody knows the word algorithm, but they don't
Right.
realize it is AI
Yeah.
in the background doing its job. And when we start to think about how, we're embracing it now and we're figuring out how to, because it's a different use that we've
Hmm.
never been had we as the common people haven't really had access
Yeah.
to, right? Or that everybody has. And that was the whole idea behind OpenAI, making it available to the world. Everybody has access, and therefore no one can misuse it in a way that would be nefarious. And I think that's the biggest piece that people need to understand, that it is there for everyone to use. So benefit from it,
Mm.
right? And you can be so creative when it comes to the brand. You mentioned the brand, right? Creating your brand.
Hmm.
I see it as a way to enhance your brand. And a lot of people that are going through a rebrand can utilize it and ask a lot of questions like, okay, here's my voice, my mission. Creating a great mission statement, your vision
Yeah.
statement, that is huge and it's so necessary. Even your business plan. Small business owners who are just starting out can embrace AI and really say, this is what I'm building. This is how I'm building it. I need help with X, right?
Mm.
I need help with my vision statement, my mission statement, my business plan. These are the things. Here's what I'm about. This is why I'm starting it. And when you start to put that into the computer, it really can give you a different perspective.
Yes.
And I
It's
think
like a
that is so
conversation, isn't it?
beautiful.
Yeah, instead of
Yes.
presenting it to a friend and the friend doesn't want to tell you they don't like it or something's missing, right? You're presenting it to AI that doesn't have the emotion in it, right? But it has
Yeah.
articulation and look at it, that's great, this and that. But you say, show me the flaws or any of that, and it will. And you don't take it personally. You look at it as good critique coming back, whereas you wouldn't ask someone else because you're afraid of what they might say. So AI can be that, sounding board for you to hone something in and show you what works and what doesn't work. And it does it, especially with Chat GPT. It does it in a very friendly way.
Does. It can be a little funny sometimes too.
Yes.
Um, I've had some interesting conversations with it. But I think one of the biggest things that I find that especially when people are struggling in their business, right? And I've seen so many people. I'm like, go ask chat for some ideas,
Yes.
right? Ask it, what is my ideal client looking for? What kind of questions is it asking? What are the things that keep my ideal client up at night?
Mm.
And you'll be amazed at the ideas chat will give. Some seem like really common. I'm like, okay, give me some uncommon ideas that nobody else is putting out there in the world that I could actually stand out in the crowd from. And it's amazing what you'll get in response. It's actually pretty creative.
Obviously, you've got to feed the computer what you're about. AI, you've got to feed it what you're all about. So it's got a basis in which to springboard from. So it's not just go into chat and then start asking. It doesn't know anything about you. So you've got to give it some
Yeah.
information for it in order to draw from.
Yes, and that's where if you go to my YouTube channel, which is YouTube at 30 Second Success, I actually have a playlist and there's a video on there that will show people how to create their custom instructions.
Mm,
And that way chat will know who you are.
exactly. As I said, I have found that it's really, become that sounding board for me. I'm inclined to, when I write, run on, and so it's tightened me up. Um, and also, sometimes if I don't put in speak in my voice and it does that, it will comment. So sometimes looking at the comment and then what the perspective. But I think it's also a great, um, comes up with some information that you didn't think about. And you look at it and you go, oh, gosh, no, I hadn't thought about that. And now there is that thought, or there is that pivoting over to maybe something incorporating it because that you didn't think about it, where AI has got all that data, it's accumulated all that data, and it's put together in an articulate fashion in order to give you that different perspective, which is what we need in business.
Well, and that's the other thing. And you, like you said before, and this is one of the things that I want people to take away from this conversation is when you're working in Chat GPT or any other AI platform, think of it as a conversation with a
Yeah,
human. Because
yeah.
technically you're talking to, the AI is literally like collective of a whole bunch of people's brains. It
Yes,
really
yes.
is. So if you think of it as a conversation, so you ask it a question and it gives you some feedback and you go, oh, that's interesting. I want to know a little bit more about this. Tell
Yeah.
me more about X, right? And it's like, and I've a couple of times I'm like, why did you include this in this list? I
Yeah.
don't understand. And it'll explain why it
Right.
included something in the list. I'm
Yes.
like, oh wow, that's kind of creepy. But it's not necessarily creepy, it's fun. Like when you
Yeah.
really start to embrace it, it's like I the first couple of times you can be a little wigged out by the information that you get.
Mm,
From it's like, wow, how did it know that? Right. And I think that's the biggest thing. We have to remember that it was people, human beings that input all the
yeah.
information. I have a conversation with people all the time, like they're saying about how much smarter these machines are going to be. I said, yes, because it's a collective of all the, you think
It's
about
a big
all the human
brain. It's
thoughts. It's a
accumulated
big
big
brain.
brain. Right. Exactly. We only use a
Yes,
portion of our brain. Imagine this is a
yes,
full brain out
yes,
there of all that data on that it can access just like that.
yes.
Yeah.
And by using it, how much more can we expand
Yes.
our abilities, right? Our vision. We can now tap into so much more information and data in such a short period of time. And that's where the efficiency comes in.
Yes.
If you're looking, like I had the opportunity the other day to write an article and they wanted me to turn it around very rapidly. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I got to go in. I've got to, and I knew what it was about. And here's what it was about. I said, okay, give me a framework. Let's play with this. And I'm like, I didn't quite like it. And when I wrote it and I went in, I said, can you clean this up for me a little bit? So, but it truncated the time. What normally would have taken me at least a week, because I'm one of those people that have to write it and then I have to kind of ruminate on it. And then I have to, edit it and then I'll ruminate on it a little bit more. This kind of takes a lot of that, you know, thought process. It helps me just really bump up the thought, that thought process and get things done and out much faster.
And I had to do something where I was only allowed 400 words and I went to 422 and they sent it back and said, we really need it at 400. And I wouldn't know how to filter it down because I'm more padded up. Gave it to my AI. Please save the same thing in 400 words. And it came out, we were under the 400, articulating everything by just getting rid of some of the things that didn't need to be in there. I still had everything in there. It just tightened it up for me. For us to work out how to get it down to that time, what do we cut out? We get frustrated with it because it's over and over again. No, it's still 401. Which word do I get rid of, right? And it does it
Can
in a
I,
matter of seconds. Yep.
yeah, it's like, can I change the and to an ampersand? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's that, and it just tightens it up. And it's still, again, your voice. It's still your content. I have dyslexia, so very often I'm inclined to write, in the wrong order. And so it just takes that and puts it back into the right order. And it's become a tool for me. It's like when I first got a computer, I can't read my own writing, and especially with the dyslexia, that then you get frustrated because the words are in the right order. So when I started writing when I was on the computer and I could cut and paste and arrange and everything else, it became less frustrating. Now this is another step forward where I can give it all my gobbledygook content and it can articulate it in a way for me that it is enhancing what I'm trying to say.
that's one of the things I teach a lot of my clients, who do struggle with writing, right? They can think it, but they just can't write
Yes.
it down fast enough. Like record it to
Yeah.
Otter, have Otter transcribe it, cut and paste it into Chat or Midjourney or whatever you're using, and ask it to rewrite it for you. And it's like it's almost like they get this expression like, oh, like the light bulbs just went off, right? Because
And
now they have all the tools at their disposal. So you're using one AI to give you the transcription for another AI, and you're getting the content that you need without stressing. And I think
exactly,
that's such a
exactly.
beautiful opportunity to use it.
I've got my own book that came out that needs to go into audio, and I don't know if I have time to do the audio on it. I really don't. And I've got this anthology coming out on the 20th of February, and some people are going to read their own chapters for the audio, and other people, I've said, otherwise the AI would do it. I've already got the voice in the shows that we've done. So there is that example there. And, then it could be AI reading it. And will people know the difference? Maybe somebody that's really, really close with someone, but other than that, not. And it, becomes then, instead of me chasing everybody and they don't want to do it or am I having to do it for them, it gives over to AI. And it's like with my logo, because I realized that the tree that I had, somebody else had, it was kind of a generic one, but I wanted still to have all the color and the representation of growth. And I gave it to AI as an example, and it came up with a few of them. So I've got for each of my sites that. And then I said, my daughter said, put a microphone in it, Mum, to people to know that it's advertising. So we added a microphone. And then I took that and kind of just finished it up with the wording, etc. But it's given me something that's unique to me. Nobody else is going to have that, right? And so that's the beauty of it as well. It's unique to you, even though it's massive amount of information that's been accumulated, it's yours, right? So that's the beauty
Yes.
of it.
Yes. So I have a question for you, Sarah. So what are some of the AI sources that you like to utilize? I know you mentioned ChatGPT.
Yes.
What do you like to use for your graphics and things like that?
I use Canva for my graphics. So I take everything over to there and use that. But in the book cover, it was limited. I couldn't do it there. So actually, a publisher did that. Uh, but yes, I have still got to learn a little more because my son-in-law would help me with that. But I've got to learn a little more on the voicing. What I would love to do is be able to speak my shows into it, and it have it transcribed for me. Um, but I'm still in discovery with what it's doing. Right now, I'm loving using it the way I am, but I'm not scratching the surface of really what it can do for me.
There is, and I think it does have a little bit of AI involved. So if you're looking for a great tool to use with your videos, with your shows, it's called
Fathom?
Fathom.video. And it will transcribe your shows. It will give you summaries. You can highlight certain sections, and it gives you the video and the audio, and it'll give you full transcription, or it'll give you summaries, and different. So it is an excellent tool. I use that a lot, especially with client
Mm.
work that I do. A lot of the courses that I create, Fathom, as long as it's more than one person, right? So you can't
Mm.
use it when you're just recording yourself on Zoom, but it you can connect it with your Zoom, and it'll
Oh,
transcribe all of that for you. Great
that's
tool. I
great.
love
That's
it.
good to know that.
Yeah.
That's a good tool. I mean, because I'm a true colors coach, the four key personality traits. So I'm always trying to give everybody, thank you very much for that. I'm always trying to give everybody, from whatever perspective they're going to look at something. So sometimes people really want the written content. Some people love the visuals of the graphics, and some people want the audio, some people want the video. And so on a show blog, I try and give everybody all of that so that it is engaging from their communication and observation process. And so it's the more we can actually help people with that, to be engaging. What is this all about? We want to be engaging. We want to start the physical conversation. So all of this is like your fishing hook that you put out there to entice people and inspire people to want to have a conversation with you. And it's not in place of you. It's not to replace you. It's to be invitational for people to want to have that uh, face-to-face conversation, whether it be by Zoom or in person.
Yeah, and that's the importance because it actually expands your reach, right? It gives
Mm,
you more visibility, it expands your reach, so you're able to help more people.
yes,
And that's the beauty of it. When you are able to utilize tools that can help you reduce the amount of time that you're sitting at your computer creating, it now gives you the ability to engage more.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
That's what we want. Well, ultimately, when it comes down to it, we love the kind of the face to face, whether it's this way or in person. We love being able to have that conversation with somebody. Uh, and everything in business is about building a relationship with your clientele before you even begin to serve them. So if you've got all this other stuff that's working for you, that's giving you free time, not only is it more time for you, because as solopreneur or small entrepreneur, you could be working 24/7 very, very easily,
Yes.
right? So it's how to take, especially for people starting out or like me, a solopreneur. I could easily work 24/7 on this. I work 8 hours a day, and then I pull the plug on it because I had to become disciplined on it. But there's always work to be done. And I never get the work finished in a day. So if you've got tools that can help you take up the slack, do things for you well that you can count on, and it can free up your time either for yourself, your family, or in order to engage more with your clientele, why would you not embrace that?
And that's the important thing is it really is encouraging people to embrace it. Like I had a conversation recently with someone about how many people are so fearful of embracing AI, right?
Hmm.
And I said, look, you have two choices. You can either sit and wait and watch what happens, or
Yes.
you can choose to embrace it. And I chose to embrace it very early on because I was like, there have been too many times where I've sat and waited and I was looking for more time freedom. And I
Yeah.
thought this might be it. And I embraced it and started teaching other people how to embrace it. It really amazes me how many creative souls are afraid of losing their voice.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I can really see how this can actually enhance your voice,
Absolutely.
give you it kind of like turns up the volume,
Yes.
in my opinion. And being able to teach people how to embrace it, how to utilize it to reach more of their audience, to be more present
Mm.
in their work
Yeah.
has been amazing. And it's been well received from that perspective. But I had a lot of people who came into some of my courses early on when I was, really playing with it and teaching people how to really get what they wanted out of
Hmm.
the AI source, whether they were using chat or whether they were using Midjourney. And kind of really, I like chat the most. It's just that's my preference, but there are
Yes.
a number of other ones out there that are just as good. And I just found that after a period of time, the fear went away, right?
Yeah.
When you start to use it and you start to play with it and you have someone who's willing to talk you through it and help you figure out exactly what it is that you need to say, that's the biggest challenge,
Yeah.
right? That is the big, I didn't realize I was going to have to teach people how to have a conversation.
Yes, yes, yeah, and quite honestly, yes, we're at that stage in life, and I'd say there's a couple of different types of fears. There's the common sense fear of, don't walk in front of a bus. You're going to get flattened, right? There's common sense fear. Don't touch fire, da, 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 da. The other fear is simply the fear of the unknown. And we get so
Yes.
caught up in the fear that instead of changing it from fear to adventurism, a wonderment, inquisitiveness, of
Right.
wanting to know something you don't know, then the fear
Right.
wouldn't have its place. We've been conditioned to be fearful of change. And yet, if we don't change, we're megally going to be left behind. So don't look at it as something fearful. Look at it as something, I don't know this. This is pretty great. Discover how it can work in your life. So change your perspective on that. Your common sense fear is going to keep you safe. Don't let the other fear hold you back.
And that's the biggest thing, that and I look at it this way. I don't have whole, I look at it from this perspective. I'm 60 years old this year, like my birthday, my 60th birthday is in 2024. And
Still a
I've
young
got two
chicken. I've got
grandbabies.
the big
I
7-0
I
this
know,
year.
right? But I look at it this way. I can choose to continue to toil away, or I can choose to embrace what's coming, what's making my going to make my life easier so that I have more time with
Yes.
who matters most, and
Yeah,
that's my family.
exactly.
And I think I had a conversation with, just it's amazing when you talk to someone who, first, thank you so much. I appreciate you saying, I'm still
You
young.
are, you are.
Um,
Still 60. I've got the big
and
7-0.
and you look amazing. I would not have guessed that. I would have thought you were my age. And
Thank
but
you.
I had this conversation with a gentleman, and I said to him, I said about being a 60-year-old grandmother who's embracing AI. And when I put it that way, I'm like, wow, that made me sound really old, but I'm not.
No, but again, that is the
But it was
conditioning, right?
also exactly,
Yeah.
it's the mindset, right?
Mm,
If like there are some people that at my age are like ready to be done. And then there's other people that are like, oh, I want to keep going. I'm going to keep at
Exactly.
this. And I'm like, but if I'm going to keep at this, which is my mentality, I have to figure out how to do it better.
I agree
And
with you.
by
Yeah.
Yes, and by
Yes.
embracing AI as
Mm,
my assistant,
yeah.
right? It is my virtual assistant. It is my, it's my personal assistant. By embracing it as my personal assistant, I get more work done in less amount of time.
And that frees you up to have that time. I don't know how many people I interview that are on that, the second part of their life where they've done the corporate, they've had the kids, the this and that, and now they're doing what they love. They're doing what really they're passionate about. And they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s. The oldest person I've interviewed is 92, took a new lover at 90, has her own TV show. She's probably 94 now and she's still going, right? So it is, don't put age on anything, except for the fact that as we age, we get wiser, right? That
Right,
wisdom of how to use our knowledge, where to use it, to whom to use it on, how to pace ourselves is more there. So that is the beauty of the wisdom that comes with age and life experience. But to say that by a certain age, you've got to be out to pasture. I've got this Our Forgotten Children book coming out on February 2nd, 20th, which is all about how we need to change our systems and programs and everything around children because we're letting them down. The next philanthropy book that will come out will be Our Forgotten Seniors and how we're, kind of your age. So therefore, just like people like shiny new objects. Oh, my phone's a year old. I'm going to toss it out and get a new one. Why? Why?
right,
If it still
right,
works, why are you tossing it out? And why are you tossing people out that actually laid the platform for you to get that phone, the computer, the AI, the everything else? That didn't come from a
right.
19-year-old. That came from people that have worked in the industry, an accumulation of knowledge that has been shared, right? So
Yes,
it is, I think, to put age as a barrier, even on yourself, is
yeah,
forget it. But at the same time, you also know it's important that you're following your passion, but that you do have time for yourself and time for your family. So if you've got a tool that can do X, Y, and Z for you, that frees up that time, that still sends out good quality work, that gets you the kind of clients that you really want, not have to filter through all the ones you don't want, right? Because it's
yes.
targeted the right people, and then why would you not? Why would you not?
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing, just really being able to embrace the opportunities that are out there, right? Because we have so much at our fingertips. And yet
Yes.
that's one of the things that I'm struggling with right now. And I don't know about you, but marketing makes me crazy because I don't want to follow what everybody else is
No.
doing. And somebody said to me, so why would you? I'm
Yeah.
just going to do it different, right?
Yeah.
And I
I'm
think
afraid
that's the
no.
biggest thing.
TikTok isn't for me. Sorry.
No, no, it's not. I'm like, I'm not gonna do TikTok ever. But I like YouTube, right? So
Mhm.
I enjoy making Zoom videos. I enjoy doing YouTube, and so you have to do what feels right for you. And I think that there's so much to that when it comes to the challenges of marketing. And that's one of the questions I ask AI all the time. How can I do marketing different? It was funny because there's somebody that I follow, Mike Halowitz. He wrote the Profit First, and he has a great story about how he marketed his first book. He literally went into Barnes and Noble and put his books on the shelf. And when people started, he had friends come in and pick it up, like they wanted to buy it at different times, and it wouldn't come up in their register, and they're trying to figure out how it got on their shelf. So he has this
Clever.
really cool story. So he just does things different. And I'm like,
Mm.
so how can I use AI to do things
Hmm.
different?
Yeah.
How can I use AI to do me?
Yes.
Right? Like to do things
To
the way I
enhance
don't
you.
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop telling me how to everybody in life when I'm on the internet and I'm out there having conversations, they want me to do whatever this guy's doing or that guy's doing or this guy's teaching. And it was funny because I recently read an article and it said people who are teaching you how to do things that made them successful have already done it. And what happens is then they start teaching a ton of people to do it the same way. And then like it doesn't land as well.
No, because it's not
right?
them.
They were, it's not them. And
Yeah.
it's not unique. It was why it worked for them was that it was unique to them,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right? So find
Yeah.
out what's unique to you. And you
Yeah.
can do that by incorporating AI and
Hmm.
saying, okay, where are my people, right? Who do I need to connect with? Who else needs my help?
Yeah.
You might think your ideal client is is a very specific person, and yet when you ask AI, here's what I do, here's how I help, here's what I deliver for my clients. Who else needs my help? You might be really surprised at what it comes back with.
Exactly. And that gives you your target market instead of just, joining everything because you have to draw a limit at some point. You can't be on every
Yes,
platform, and you want to be on the platforms that you know that you can feed well, that you can support well,
yes,
rather than stretching yourself just because it's the latest fad. And everybody's
yes,
jumped over to that latest fad. Well, for me, social media is, yes, I use it for posting the shows, but it also is about I spend an hour a day, maybe, where I'm engaging. I'm responding to other people's posts. Somebody says they've got an issue. I've got a show for that. Liking other people, and engaging. And if you've got to look at your marketing. You don't have to do it an hour a day and maybe 2 or 3 hours a week. It's up to you. You've got to but just because of what I do. And that becomes your invitation. And it's proven to me over and over again that even when I've asked for something personal, let's put something personal out there, the support and the engagement that I
yes.
have got. And, all of this social media is an algorithm. You are an algorithm. So what you put out is what you're going to get back. So you don't want the negativity, don't put it out. If you can't go and do something funny on TikTok and it's just, you just haven't got that time, then don't do it. Because do you want the TikTok customers? For me, with these shows, I want people that are hungry to learn the knowledge and want the length of time these shows are, not people that want a dip in and a dip out, people
Right.
that want to really get the nuggets. So why would I put myself on a platform that has a 2-second attention span?
And that's the biggest thing. You need to know your audience, right?
Yes,
You really need to know who they are and where they're hanging out, and then create content with consistency.
yes.
And again, that's what AI can give you. It can give you that consistency. A lot of times I will go in and I will be working on a project and I'm like, okay, this is really good stuff. And even for my book, I went in and I'm like, okay, let's create several posts.
Hmm.
Let's talk about a posting plan, a marketing plan. How am I gonna roll this out? What do people need to hear about the book? Are there parts of the book that I should share on social media? And it gives you a really good insight into what you should be putting out there. And then you can create the content, edit it, put your little spin on it, whatever you want to do with it. It's so funny because I write really short, like I don't like putting, those long things that people have to read like, and then sometimes AI is a little bit too short. Like, all right, I need more than two sentences. Can you
Yes.
expand on this a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah,
Just a little.
exactly.
Um, so yeah, you can create a whole marketing plan with consistency through, whatever it is that you're working on at the current time, right? And even ask it for the different social platforms that you like to use. And that's
Mm,
it's amazing how easy it is to even if you're doing a presentation or you're trying to figure out, I mean, I need a really good graphic to go with this post. What do you recommend? And it will make a description for you. Right? Find
right.
a picture of X, and this is what it should look like, and a dog sleeping on his back with his paws up in the air, like, oh, I've had enough, right? I've
Yes,
had enough. I'm done. It's Friday. So it can actually be really helpful when you're stuck, even just for ideas.
exactly. And again, it's very often it's like having that sounding board because, what do you think? And they come back with it, and then you're interacting. And it is, you've got that access with that huge big brain of them being able to see things from perspectives that you never even would have thought of, even amongst the people that work with you or your group, because your group, you're in a certain vibe tribe. right? Sometimes you need a different frequency to come in
Yes.
and give you something else outside of that. That sheds light on something that you hadn't thought of. So where you may have a great team and you can really, brainstorm wonderfully together, you're in sync with each other. Having something that is not in sync that can give you a different perspective, helps you put something out to things that you're missing, or put out to a different audience that you're missing out on because you're only vibing this way instead of incorporating that way.
And one of the questions a lot of people ask me regarding chat is the difference between 3.5 and chat 4.
Yes.
And yes, there's significant difference because of its intelligence. What was fed into 3.5 I think it's up to date as of April 2023. And that was the last update that I saw. And then chat 4 actually has the same knowledge, actually more, but it's been expanded. So from a perspective, it just, an idea from the perspective of its intelligence, Cat 3.5 has an intelligence of about 60, which is supposed to be the average human. And Chat 4 is the intelligence of about Einstein, 155.
Mm.
And then they are saying by the time Chat 5 or 6 comes out, it may be an IQ of 3,000. I'm like,
Right.
just
It's
think
also
of the
it's yeah,
knowledge, right? I'm like, oh my gosh.
I mean, how
It's
many
like you think of it
people
with
you've
a
seen
giant
in?
brain.
I know. How many movies have you seen? I'm thinking of the Indiana
A
Jones one.
giant
The
head.
crystals, and she wanted the knowledge. Give me the knowledge, and they gave her the knowledge, and she melted because her brain couldn't take
Yeah.
it. Here, you've got that massive brain at your accessibility, right? And the other thing about for GPT is that it's faster in giving you everything as well. It's really, really speedy. And so, you can really literally have things in a matter of seconds.
It does, I think she 4 does actually ask it does actually have access to Bing because it is a Google company. It is partially owned by Microsoft. So no, is it Microsoft? Yes, Microsoft is Bing. I was gonna I'm like, why did I say Google? I'm like, okay. But yeah, so but Bing, Google has Bard and Microsoft has Bing, and 4 now I think has access to Bing, so it has internet information. So that's why it's even more important to check the responses that you're getting.
Yes,
Right, it's really more important now that it actually has access to the internet, which is very interesting for data. And
right.
that's where it's drawing its data from because not all the internet, hey, we know Wikipedia, come on, people. Wikipedia is a collective of people putting their information in there and it's not always accurate.
Right,
So
exactly,
just like
exactly.
just like a lot of the other, the other things that you find on the internet, you have to check them for accuracy. Um,
What
and
is a
even
good what is a good place to go to check on things that, like it is that encyclopedia of fact where you can fact check? Because that's the big problem for people. Where do I fact check?
yeah, that's why I do actually recommend. I mean, Google is a great place to fact check,
Hmm.
right? Microsoft is your Microsoft Edge. You can using the different the internet platforms, search engines for data is a great place to fact check. And there are a couple other, and I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there's a list in my book, and you can actually download it. So in my book, there's see, isn't it pretty?
Stand your
In
ground.
the Yeah, stand in your brand. I forget we are on a podcast, so there's audio. So in the book, we actually have QR codes. So you
Mm,
can actually there's a couple different downloads with informational PDFs. One of them is for specifically for fact checking, because I think that is so
yeah.
important. And verifying your AI produced content, you have to make sure that you're above board. Because think about Hey, there was the dean of a university that was, and it was, I'm trying to remember which university it was, that was recently let go, terminated because she plagiarized her thesis. Parts of her thesis were plagiarized, and they discovered that. So if universities and colleges, they know how to check your facts, right? And
Yeah.
there are software programs that they're using to check those, and there are public domain softwares to check your facts as well.
Right.
So
And isn't there
that's one of the
also
things that I tell people. Sorry, go
no,
ahead.
no, isn't there also a way that they can actually check if somebody has written something with AI or themselves? Isn't,
Yes.
yeah?
There are certain things that Amazon is being very, very careful when you're uploading books. Like it will now ask you if AI
Yes.
was used in the production of your book,
Hmm.
and if so, how much and for what purpose. Well, my book is about AI, so I had
Right.
to tell it.
Yes.
Yeah, I what platform it actually even asked me what platform I used and everything. And I think it's a safety point that, the internet knows a
Hmm.
lot of the algorithms know that
Yes.
there are certain words that chat reuses. And I will tell you right now, if you're doing social media content with chat, take out all the little emojis, because that's the biggest red flag to the algorithms that you use AI.
Okay, so the emojis are the ones that
Yeah. The
are
little like rocket ship and the
right.
starburst, and it uses the same ones. If you use, like, I use three hearts, I use the orange, the green, and the blue because it's my branding colors.
Right.
I use them all the time, so they knows that
Mhm.
that's not typical of
Right.
AI, right? Yeah, AI uses rocket ships, and if you mention the word book, it uses a specific type of book,
Mhm.
and I'm like, no, I use a different book. I
Yes.
so just be careful with that. And it'll start, it's a lot of times there's certain words that it will use repeatedly. And the other thing that is a trip for the algorithm is if it basically uses the same sentence, just like rewords a sentence and
Yes.
uses it multiple times. Like, you already made that point. Why are you making that point again?
Right.
Yeah, so you have to make sure that's why it's so important to read the content that you're
Yeah,
posting.
don't just copy and paste and put it
Don't
out
just
there, right?
complete.
Because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
can make mistakes. Um, and
Hmm.
I've noticed that I've given it something where certain words are very, very important to the content and they've eliminated it. All right. So
Ugh,
I've put the word back in or I've given it back to them and saying, no, these words must be in there. And then they rewrite it with those words in there. So just like any assistant, you have to give instruction and you have to
yes.
overlook the work. I mean, like this poor lawyer now who will probably lose her license because she obviously put something into AI, printed it out, and handed it out without looking at the content that was printed out. So that was her responsibility to do so, and she's paying the price, which has now become a great big warning for other people. Read your
Yes.
content, right? Proofread everything. Um, because it's a fantastic tool. It really can rearrange the thoughts and places and give you great presentation. But it's up to you to read the final print before you're putting it
Yes.
out, because ultimately you are responsible for what you put out.
Right. And that's the biggest thing, is making sure that you are doing everything in your power to remain ethical when you're using this content and when you're using the different platforms. And I think that's the biggest thing of staying true to your brand.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where it comes in, is being ethical, using it in a great way. And I love sharing with people, hey, this was, even in my book, I actually, give credit to ChatGPT helping me write it,
Hmm.
right? ChatGPT even wrote a blurb for me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, no, I mean, I sometimes have conversations with it when I need a sounding board. Right.
Yes,
And as I
yes,
said the other day,
exactly.
it was I sometimes I get this little depressive flag on me and I put it out there and it came up with all of these things. Have you tried this? Have you tried this? And all of that. And I was so impressed with it. I thought, I've got to share it as a blog. And I put it out. This
Yes.
is what AI has told me to do. I put it out, my question chat's response. And when you look at it, it's all very rational ideas that when you are in a state of flux, you don't think of rationality. And this is kind of that. So it can be used in so many ways. Is this
Hmm.
a good idea, AI? And put out everything that you want to put out there. AI will come
Yeah.
back with rational, logical approach to it as to where the flaws
Right.
are or what anything else. So let it be a sounding board, right? It's not your enemy. We do know in the wrong hands it will become And as with anything, you've got people that drive badly or drunk or texting and they kill people. And that is, a car is a weapon in the wrong hands instead of a vehicle that gets you from A to B. AI is the same thing. And I did actually once put in there for a legal document, and it came back to me and said, I cannot do that. So it's interesting
Mm,
because it will tell you when it is that's its boundary and it can't do that for you. So that's good.
yes.
It's good to know.
Yes. Yeah, and you can actually have it review content as well. Like you can actually upload a PDF and it'll review content for you, and which is kind of interesting. My husband is a sales engineer, and we were talking. He got a big document that he had to review, and we were looking for certain words. I said, let's play with it and see what it'll if it'll do the research for us to shorten the time. And first of all, he's an engineer, so his engineering mind and having
Yes.
a conversation
Uh,
with the computer was a little challenging. So I had to kind of like coach him through how to ask the question to get the right answer that he was looking for. And it was very interesting. It was a very interesting experiment with it because it was a pretty large document, and it actually found a good bit of what he, just showed him where it was, and he, the terminology, looking for certain terminology that then he would need to take and review for his job. But it's just really fascinating that it actually found the terminology and then gave him basically a list. You can find it on this page, this page, this page. But it took us a few tries to get it to give us what we wanted because he was not as patient as I am with
right.
creating
But I
questions,
mean, we've all
creating
got to edit.
prompts.
I used it for editing my book because of my dyslexia. So I gave it chapter by chapter. I say maintain the content of my voice. Just pick out any, indiscrepancies. And if it rearranged things improperly or spelling or grammar, it did that for me. So, it's again, you have to reread it. Obviously, you got to check everything that is over, but it just kind of came across as like, oh yeah, that flows better than the way
Right.
I was doing it. And that's what you want. You want something that's going to bring the best out of you. We've got this huge pressure on us that we've got to be extraordinary. We are extraordinary, but we've got to be extraordinary in everything we do. We've got to be excellent in everything that we do, but we are beautifully flawsome creatures where we have challenges or with other things we're good at and other things we're not. And if AI can step in there and take up that reign and help you along with this and that, etc., what it's doing is enhancing you. And it's taking the pressure off you to have to be up to this expectation. It's allowing you to be the best that you can be, and so people can receive you. If people meet you and they feel it's the same if I'm looking at someone's site before I interview them, and then I interview them, and I will say your site doesn't represent you. It's generically being created, all right, and there's no essence of you in there. So it's a misrepresentation. AI can be a misrepresentation if you just say, do this for me, instead of this is why I want it and this is the content, etc. Enhance it for me because then it is still you. It's just a better version of you.
Yes. And that it really does come down to having those custom conversations,
Yes.
customizing the interactions that you are having on a daily basis and getting really good at having those conversations. Like I just said, daily basis, right?
Yes.
That's the best way to get comfortable with it. Use it every day. Use it
Mm,
every day. And you'll get really comfortable with it and you'll start to have fun, like asking it, to enhance a prompt. Like if you're prompting it for a specific conversation and you want to get more information and insights out of it, it's a lot of fun. I think
hmm.
it's fun. I get all excited, like, okay, what's it gonna give me now?
Exactly, exactly. It's that kind of a friend sounding board, going to tell it as it is going to show you how to do it better. And it just is that wonderful tool. It's certainly
Right.
for me, taken a lot of pressure off me, and being able
Yes.
to articulate something that, again, with my dyslexia, I don't always manage to do, or I'm too wordy, right? And it
Right.
hones it in. And so that's the whole thing is that it's an excellent tool. Don't look at it as the enemy of they're coming to take over, right? And at the same time, everything that we've ever had, with the computer. I'm sure there were people that were against the computer when it started becoming household computers. Let's look how it
Yes.
started. A computer used to be a city block. And look how it's downside now
Yes.
that it's
Yeah.
in your watch, right? So,
Yes. I know, right?
yes, they're talking about the chip coming. I wouldn't advise the chip. Don't go that far, please, because that is handing yourself over. Very often, I wish I did have a chip in there because as I have these great creative ideas, I wish it was downloading it. Yeah, but the chip that companies want to put in you and other things like this, that is giving yourself over. It's abstaining from your own control. So that is coming. Don't let that happen to you because I know that that's already started in certain companies where they're chipping their staff, which no, we don't want that. But look at it as a tool that really can enhance your work. Maybe you are a writer with writer's block, as somebody said, it's not really writer's block. It is that you need to go elsewhere, step out of it in order for to read the download of what the next part will be. But very often, again, the AI can help you with that. I'm stuck on this. My character is this, that, etc. I don't know where to go. Let AI be a sounding board and help you with it,
Right.
with a paper, with a document, with presentation, right? Great for that. Take all your
Oh,
idea
absolutely.
and give it the uh, hone it down into a better presentation and then maybe break it up into sections so I can read it or and it just
Mhm.
does all that work for you that you yourself sometimes cannot see. You can't see the trees
Yes.
for the woods and it just gives you
Mhm.
that clarity and that cleanup that you need. So, but please read what it gives you before you put it out. Due diligence.
Yes. That's perfect.
So you've got two books. There's this book that you've got right now, Stand in Your Brand. And of course, you have your other book, The 30-Second Success, Ditch the Pitch and Start Connecting, which I really want people to go back and listen to that show because some wonderful tidbits that you've given there as well. So how do people find these books and how do people find you? And if people want to reach out to you for any of your services, what are you offering right now?
You for asking that. So my books are available on Amazon. It's the easiest way to find them. I also have a page on my website, 30 Second Success com/books. So my books are listed there because like you, I'm also contributing author of Your First Year, What I Wish I Had Known. So that's another one. And I have another one coming out, another anthology coming out on March 6th that I'm part of. And it's heart-centered marketing. So
Mm.
that'll be a good one to come out, and that's being released, uh, like I said, on March 6th on Women's International Women's Day because it's a book written by women for women. So that'll be fun. But yeah, the easiest way to find them is on my website, 30secondsuccess.com/books. And if, as far as programs that I have right now, I'm actually offering a Stand in Your Brand course that takes people through the different steps in building your course. And I'm also developing another one for specifically for coaches and consultants who want to utilize AI for developing their courses and their programs. So it'd be really fun. I love doing that stuff. It always amazes me how
I,
much people just
this
embrace it.
this tool is here. Again,
Mhm.
don't step into fear because it's unknown. Step into wonderment of how it can work for you, right? That's the important thing. How can it work for you? You don't know what it can do for you until you immerse yourself into it and give it a try. So you can help them understand how to use it, how to utilize it for the best. And then people need to just play with it and see what it does for you. And you'll see the expansion of what it can do for you. It really is quite something. So that is, it's a great tool, folks. I know that you're still going to get people against it because of the fear of it. And again, the ethics of how far it can go and what it replaces, etc. But when you're using it as a tool in your own life, in your own business, and you're using it ethically and you're always revising, reading what it gives you to make sure that it's crossed the T's and dotted the I's and that is accurate. That's on you. But look at how much time it can give you back. Look at how much it could enhance and advance you and how much it can serve your own clientele because of it. There are so many applications to it. So just be willing to go learn first how to use it properly. And then after that, play with it and see what it can do for you. So it's 30 second, 30 second success.com. So 30secondsuccess.com. And it's Laura at 30secondsuccess.com. She's on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all at 30 Second Success. And of course, the books can be found on Amazon. And please go back to listen to the other show because we've all got pitching ideas. And this is actually where AI can be incorporated in that pitching too, right? It can hone your pitching into kind of being able to make that statement you want to say in a nice, concise sentence or two that you've got that 30 seconds of. So another thing you can incorporate with it, which is great. Always wonderful to have you here, Laura. Come back anytime. It's
Thank you.
great to have you here, and it's really, really important that, the ditch the pitch. We don't want to be pitched to, folks. We want to be inspired. So that 30 seconds is inspiration because that begets the invitation. And then you want to be able to back it up with that content, with everything you've got. And that's where AI can help you. So merge the two together and just let your business and your life take wings, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate you having me back on Self-Discovery Wisdom. And I'm so glad to be here with you. It is always a joy to have this conversation. I love that you're embracing AI and anytime you have questions for me, please feel free to shout me out.
I will definitely do that because I'm still a novice at it and I'm kind of using it one way, but there's other ways I want to use it. And I will admit that I get technically challenged, although I do all of this, I do get technically challenged. And it's just a question because my brain doesn't work straightforward, right? So, but once I get a hang of it, then I know. But that's the thing is having a tool like this, if you do have some struggles, if you do have brain fog, if you do have any kind of handicap whatsoever, that AI really can be that clarifier when you are getting stuck on articulating what it is you want to say. So it can be a real great companion in that way, a great supporter. So just give it a try, folks, before you get all upset about it. Give it a try, see how it works in your life, and then you can judge. But I think once you've dipped your toe in, you'll actually understand how much it can do for you. So thank you, Laura, and to everyone else out there. AI is here to stay. You may as well get on the bandwagon, otherwise you may get left behind. So until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.